Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for the new screensavers is provided by CacheFly at CacheFly.com. The new Screensavers is brought to you by Braintree. If you're working on a mobile app and searching for a simple payment solution, check out Braintree. With one simple integration, you can offer your customers every way to pay, period. To learn more and for your first $50,000 in transactions fee-free, go to braintreepayments.com/NSS. And by the Ring Video Doorbell. With Ring, you can see and talk to anyone at your door from anywhere in the world using your smartphone. It's like caller ID for your home. Get $10 off the Ring Video Doorbell when you go to ring.com/NSS.
We'll talk to The Martian, building an arcade cabinet from scratch, and a music performance with Clay Bell. Live from the Twit Brick House in beautiful downtown Petaluma, it's the new Screensavers.
Episode number 14, recorded Saturday, August 8th, 2015. I am Leo Laporte.
Oh, hi. How's it going? Sorry, I didn't mean to be taller than you.
Well, no, that's okay. That's Jason Howell, our co-host for the day.
Hi, everybody.
And we welcome you. And it's okay, Jason, because I brought a little something with me.
I hope that you're not going to do the whole show like this.
What are you doing down there?
I'm just, I'm being me. If you do this, then I'm going to spend the entire show having a hard time talking to you because I'm not used to looking up and talking.
You said that it's hard for you to talk to people taller than you.
It actually is. It doesn't happen very often. I'm 6'8".
How tall are you?
I'm 6'8". And when it does, I find myself in a conversation with someone that's taller than me, and I'll actually have to be thinking about what I'm saying more than just a regular conversation because I'm not used to delivering my words looking like this.
I have the same problem with people thinner than me, which is why I stay home most of the time. Hey, everybody, welcome. It's going to be a fun show, as you heard. And by the way, that was the wonderful Steve Saylor doing our cold open.
Fantastic
And
job.
Steve's an old friend. He was an intern in Toronto at the lab with Leo for a couple of years, ran prompter for us, did a lot of great stuff. And he works in radio now, and you can kind of tell.
Yep.
This is a trained voice here. You know, this guy knows what he's doing there when he comes up against a microphone. Wow.
And he's very helpful.
And he's very helpful. Andy Weir is coming up to talk about, not the book, The Martian, which we loved, and we, if you didn't see our triangulation episode with Andy, do watch that, but about the movie, which is ongoing right
exciting.
now. We're also going to talk to you, or at least see what you're up to with this MAME thing.
Oh, man, I can't wait.
You're building like a game cabinet?
Tabletop MAME cabinet.
That's awesome.
Oh, man, 8-10-year-old me is screaming and jumping up and down right now.
I'm jumping
all
up
these
I'm
games.
bring it in.
If I could flash forward to the future and know that you could even do this when I got older, I wouldn't have been able to believe this.
Every game in one box.
I'm looking forward to it.
No quarters necessary.
No, thankfully.
Also, one of the things we did, and I really loved on the old show, was we would have live music. We had They Might Be Giants in many times. I remember we had My Name is Luke. Who was that? Suzanne Vega sing Tom's Diner a cappella. I just remember so many great musical moments. We're going to have fun with this. Clay Bell and Tommy Ricard are here, and they're going to perform live. But then you're going to work with them. You're going to show how they can use an iOS devices to record studio music, high-quality music.
Love it.
Should be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We've got questions, we've got answers, but let's start with Defcon. We warned you last week
I don't want to do
that
Defcon.
the big hacker conference is Black Hat first. That's the kind of more professional suit and tie one. And Defcon, that's really more where you stay out late, get drunk, and cry the
And then
next
people
day.
hack you.
And people hack you, the wall of sheep and all of that.
Sure.
They're going on in Vegas. I think Defcon's just finishing up in Vegas. But as always, when this stuff happens, there's lots of revelations. We got some kind of the precursor the last couple of weeks, But let's find out what we learned this week at Black Hat and Defcon. Steve Gibson is joining us, our security guru from his fortress of solitude in beautiful Irvine, California. Hey, Steve.
Hey, Steve.
Hey, guys. Great to be with you.
Host of Security Now. And we should always explain every time Steve's on that those blinking lights behind him are his PDP-8s with which he runs the internet. Not many people know that Steve's in charge.
I just kind of assumed it was like a very unique light with a switch behind it. You just turn it on, it's like, this is part of my set.
In fact, my kit is coming because you told us about a new PDP kit, and my kit is coming. So we'll have blinky lights too soon.
Nice.
Absolutely.
So Steve, you didn't go to these conferences, but you watched from afar.
Yeah, I get it that there's a whole cultural phenomenon side where it's really more about the sort of the I don't know, the personality of the hacker ethic is sort of played with at DEF CON. But for example, many of the really interesting talks are all during the same hour. So it's like there were 4 of them all at the same time. And so for me, I always scan the schedule of what's happening to see if there's anything that looks extra surprising. And I have to say, well, there was one that was talking about, the way it painted it was sort of like the end of the world for exploit kit rootkits with x86 platforms. It was called the memory sinkhole, and the abstract and the description was just, I mean, it chilled your blood. And it turns out that it was nothing. I mean, it's like a guy very cleverly found a very subtle 20-year-old problem that if the moon was full, it might have to be a blue moon, actually. You know, you might have to get, it might be the second full moon in the same month, and you stood on one foot, and you already had kernel privileges, and you did some weird things, and you knew exactly what firmware you were using on that system, then maybe if you were lucky, you could get some extra privilege. But
It's
it was
almost
like,
as
okay,
if
well,
they're in a competition. Like somehow they're going to make money if more people pay attention to that. It's strange that you would inflate an exploit just to get attention, I guess. But there were some that we've been very interested in following. Of course, Charlie Miller's Jeep hack. This is the one that we saw in Wired magazine, where they remotely hacked the Uconnect in a Jeep. It caused a 1.4 million vehicle recall on the part of Chrysler Fiat. And we've been wanting to learn more. Did we learn more?
No. In fact, this is the problem with really high-profile exploits, is that the people, the security researchers who find them need to be responsible. And if you find something which can essentially take over nearly 1.5 million Chrysler on-the-road autos from anywhere on the internet, you can't release that at a hacker conference.
It wouldn't be responsible to do so.
Yeah, I mean, they were able to disengage the transmission, to slam on the brakes, to take over the steering wheel.
One thing we wanted clarification on: did they have physical access to the vehicle beforehand?
No, you needed no access. There was an open port. I mean, like the classic problem that we, for example, with consumer routers, where there's some obscure open port that turns out that anyone who wants to, who knows about it, is able to go in and take over the router.
Wow.
Well, in fact, Harman Kardon, who makes the Uconnect system, people are now looking into other Harman Kardon systems.
No kidding.
To make sure that this exploit is limited to those specific Uconnect systems. This is a serious vulnerability.
Why give an infotainment system that kind of access to begin with?
The problem is cost and features. Everybody wants features, and so there needs to be, arguably some connection between the radio and the car if you want your remote devices to have access. The other car that came that was a subject of some DEF CON interest was the Tesla, and Tesla's it was the S was scrutinized extremely well, and overall the researchers said these guys did a good job. They found 6 non-remotely exploitable problems, which so you had to have physical access to the car. But one of the things that Tesla did is they've always had an over-the-air update. And this is, I think, one of the things that we're seeing sort of overall is that anything with a computer, we'd like security to be perfect. Security is not perfect. And it doesn't seem to be getting any better. It seems to be getting worse. I want to make sure we have a chance to mention the stage fright issue with the Android smartphones.
Yeah, I know that Jason's very interested as the host of All About Android. Both Jason and I use Android phones. I know you use an iPhone. And everybody's concerned about stage fright because it sounds like it could impact as many as almost 1 billion, 900 million Android phones out there in the wild. What did we learn about stage fright?
Well, we did, again, very much like the Jeep issue, information leaked out ahead of time because to be responsible, they needed to notify the various manufacturers. Now, they notified Google. Google had patches weeks ago. The problem is that, and this brings us back to the whole issue of computer-enhanced consumer devices. Unfortunately, in the smartphone business, there's a tendency for the carriers to abandon phones that are more than maybe 18 months old. The problem is these are computers, and so they really need ongoing maintenance. Now, in the wake of stage fright, that has been, has really raised the profile of these kinds of problems because, as you said, we're talking 950 million devices. At least Samsung has stepped up and said they're going to start offering monthly updates for the over-the-air updatable firmware, much as we've become accustomed to with our PC operating systems.
And that's not even just Samsung. That's LG as well as Google. Google's doing it for their Nexus devices, I think, for 3 years. So something good comes out of it, I suppose.
Yeah, but it hasn't happened yet. In fact, let me ask you about this, Steve, because I read about and downloaded this app, the Stage Fright Detector app. One of the things you wanted from these guys at Black Hat was a proof of concept code that allowed me to go somewhere or run something that would tell me if I'm vulnerable, right?
Right, and there are 2 of them now. They don't always agree with each other. The one I'm holding up is the one from Zimperium themselves.
Yeah,
they're the people that found this. And if you look, you'll see that there are. Whoops!
It's gone to sleep. You have a Samsung tablet, which is still vulnerable. It looks like.
Hello. Yes.
Here, I can show you mine.
Samsung wants you to use S-Voice right now,
Anyway,
Steve.
wait a minute, though. But this is a Nexus 6. This is supposed to be up to date. I'm running it on here, and it says this is vulnerable as well.
Have you received an OS update?
Apparently not.
Hold on. The very first release of this was flawed, even though it came from the guys that found the flaw. So you need to, this is what I wanted to mention to people, you need to uninstall and reinstall the update.
Easy stuff for everyone.
And what I have now on my little test Samsung, it shows 3 lines are red, 3 lines are green, because there were a total of 6 different vulnerabilities. So mine still is vulnerable to 3 of them. There's another test from Lookout Mobile Security.
I like Lookout.
Yes, I would recommend that people get both of them because they're both free. They're small, easy downloads. The Lookout guys seem to have gotten it right, but I'd also like to use the one from the guys that really understand the flaw and found the problem. Also, the Textra SMS messaging client is well regarded, and it already has stage fright immunity. They're checking for and protecting users from the stage fright exploit.
How are they doing that?
That doesn't save you because what's happening is the built-in. This by the way that you attack somebody using stage fright is by sending a malformed MMS file. Right. And because MMS programs like Google's Hangouts and the messaging program on many Android devices download and kind of preview this MMS before you even look at it, you can get infected without your knowledge. So it's all well and good that I could put Textra on here, but I still am vulnerable as long as I have those other messaging apps, right?
So until we get these things patched, the only thing people can do is disable the auto fetching of MMS.
And I have
messages.
done that on my Hangouts. Yeah.
Thankfully, I never get an MMS message.
Yeah, but if you do, it's going to be from a bad guy. That's the problem.
Right. It'd be easy to protect.
Right.
But it is a little bit of spear phishing because that bad guy has to have your phone number
That
to
is a big
send you
part
the
of it.
MMS. It can't. It's not just some widely. Well, I guess it could be widely targeted. They just do random numbers. Have we seen stage fright in the wild yet, Steve?
Yes. It is known now to be exploited. This Imperium guys intended to withhold their proof of concept until August 28th, unless they saw it being detected, and it has been detected in the wild. This thing, it allows a no user interaction takeover of an Android device, and the real concern is that it's wormable. There, we could see an Android worm, which is to say, it would be some code that would take over someone's phone and then start attempting to send MMS messages by itself to other Android users.
The thing that's scary is there really isn't going to be a fix for this for the vast majority of those 950 million phones, right?
That's the big problem.
They're so old. The carrier doesn't support it. The manufacturer doesn't support it. These are, $25 handsets in India and China. They're just never going to get supported. Never going to get fixed.
This is a target-rich environment, unfortunately, and this demonstrates the problem. We really need to rethink the responsibility that carriers have. My feeling is, if a carrier is obtaining money from an individual for providing the service of connecting them to the internet, as long as that is the case, that carrier needs to be responsible for the functioning of the device.
I would love to see that.
Sorry to say, there is no more up-to-date Google device than the Nexus 6 running Google Fi. I just ran the Lookout vulnerability detector, and it says it's vulnerable as well. Wow. So if Google can't fix its own devices in a timely fashion, we're screwed.
I mean, it's equally on the carriers. It's also kind of in Google's.
Yeah, but this is Google Fi.
That's what I mean.
Google's
the
carrier.
Google's
the company that sold it to me. Admittedly, LG or Motorola made it for them, but why is it still vulnerable?
Yeah. A few weeks out. I don't know.
Anyway, thank you,
It's a
Steve,
big
for
issue.
really depressing me. Steve Gibson does Security Now each and every week on Tuesdays, about 1:30 Pacific, 4:30 Eastern Time, 20:30 UTC. Watch live or get it after the fact. We've had a little trouble getting the show out on YouTube. There's some sort of thing, it's something about you. I think it's because of the length of the show. I don't know, but we are working on it. But you can always subscribe in your favorite podcatcher or go to twit.tv/SN. You'll find it there in the most prompt time frame, and on Steve's own website, which we should give you a plug for, because that's where you'll find Spin Right, Steve's daily bread and butter, grc.com. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Steve.
Thanks, guys. See you.
All right. We'll keep up on all these stories. If you listen to Securely Now, I mean, we cover this in kind of obsessive depth. And
yes. It's a scary show. It's a scary show anytime.
You know what? It kind of bugs
me. It scares me anyways.
Because I want to use an Android device. I prefer them to iPhones. And I've kind of resisted all this toxic hell stew rhetoric coming from the Apple side. And look, there's nothing that's completely safe, but this thing kind of depresses me. It's like, are you kidding me? Even a Nexus 6 hasn't been patched yet?
Yeah, I feel like every couple of months or so, we hear a big story that stirs up about like an Android, insecurity, some vulnerability of some sort. And then the instant reaction for me is, well, you got to really be a perfect case scenario, and in many cases, kind of be getting apps from the wrong place or whatever. You kind of have to put yourself in that situation. In this case, it's very, very different.
I got it from Google.
No, this is very different. Very different.
Oh, is it frustrating? Well, I've turned off automatic MMS receipts.
That's about all you can do right now.
I hope that's enough. And unfortunately, my phone number is out in public. It has been for years. So if somebody wanted to attack me, I'm in deep doo-doo. You know what? I think we all need to chill out. I think we need a little musical interlude. This was the thing. One of the things we did on the Screensavers I loved so much was this live music. Tell us a little bit about these guys, because you know them, right?
Well, I mean, I've met them through this show, but they're creating music and recording into an iPad. It's some pretty awesome folk music, I think.
Clay Bell has
send it over to Clay Bell.
Clay Bell has his own band. I want to give them a plug. Wait a minute. Don't do that. What's the name of your band, Clay? Say again. Pop Rocks. How could I have forgotten?
I do a lot of different things.
And he's brought in a friend who's a drummer who's going to do the all-important percussion on this piece. What do you call this piece?
I don't know, Steve?
And now, performing Steve, Clay Bell and Tommy Ricard.
I didn't want to see you crying, but I know I would. Saying sorry only gets you so far. It's done all it could. And how's the cards is falling down? Do you build it up? Or do you walk away and say, baby, play? I've had enough. Don't you wanna be my girl anymore? Don't you wanna be that girl? Hold back the tears and fight for love. I didn't want to see you crying, but I know I will. And though you wish you could cut it off like a switch, you love me still. The walls within have been condemned. Do you walk away? Or do you patch it up the best you can? Ooh, baby, stay. Don't you wanna be my girl anymore? Don't you wanna be that girl? Roll back the tears and tell me you believe there's nothing we can't face. The darkest day was only a weather in our way. Roll back the tears and fight for love. Roll back the tears and fight for love. Don't you wanna be my girl anymore? Don't you wanna be that girl?
Yeah. Yeah. Clay Bell, Pop Rocks, Tommy Ricard. And I think we got a name for you, Stage Fright, the musical. What do you think? I like it. It fits. It's kind of a double me. They'll be back in a bit. You're going to talk to them about how they use iOS devices to record.
Absolutely, I love this stuff.
I think that's
it's
very
such
cool.
a democratized world we live in as far as audio technology is concerned.
Yeah. Boy, that sounded good,
so much.
guys.
Yeah, it
Thank
sounds
you.
really
That was
good.
fabulous. We should mention, I've been watching the chat room, that Google says that due to address space randomization on phones from Android 4.0 and later, so that means what?
Ice cream sandwich.
Ice cream
and beyond.
sandwich, lollipop, jawbreaker,
Jawbreaker.
jelly bean.
Jelly bean.
That
And M.
even though the stage fright MMS vulnerability is still there, it would be very hard for them to weaponize it because you can't just jump into memory and execute code.
There's still a significant amount of people pre-ICS, ice cream sandwich, number one. And number two, you really, that's comforting. 90% is a great number to hear.
Well, it means that my Nexus 6 is probably okay.
When you run the app and you look for it and you see that, it still doesn't make you feel any better about it.
Yeah, it's just an important point that even though Lookout and Imperium are saying I'm vulnerable, it would be hard to weaponize that. So I might, at best, they might be able to crash my phone. Big deal.
But please don't.
Let's take a, it's time for a call for help. By the way, Steven Saylor said it's okay for us to use this logo. So thank you, Steven. I appreciate the permission. On the line with us right now from the home of Breaking Bad. It's Robert in Albuquerque. Hey, Robert, how are you?
Hey, Leo. Hey, Jason.
Hey.
Great to talk to you.
How you guys doing?
We're great. You know, Steve was just in Albuquerque. He went to see the Breaking Bad house, and he tells us that Vince Gilligan, the guy who created Breaking Bad, has pleaded with fans who visit the house not to throw pizza on the roof. So, yeah, well, the owners would not be happy. I agree.
So, first question for you, Robert. Have you thrown pizza on top of the house?
Yeah, no, I haven't taken those tours either.
Okay, all right.
You know,
Hey, I
there's a
like this setup here. It looks like you've got dual floppy drives. That must be nice.
What kind of computers are those?
What
Leo?
is those? Those look like old Performas or something. What are those back there?
Apple II GS.
2GS. Nice. The old Apple joystick. You know who would love this? Steve Gibson, who wrote the light pen for the old Apple II. That is awesome. Do you play games? What do you play? Chopper Command? What are you doing on that?
Yeah, Choplifter, absolutely. There's two of them. One I just booted up. It's got the compact flash hard drive in there.
Oh, neat.
And transwarp running at 15 megahertz instead of 2.5. The other one is the stock for the old 8-bit Apple II stuff.
That's cool. So you're an Apple II hacker. That's awesome.
Yeah,
I missed Choplifter. That was one of the great games.
That was a great game.
You should
yeah.
put that on your
First-
main cabinet.
I'm sure it's going to be on there. I have a feeling it'll end up on there somehow.
What can we do for you, Robert?
Well, you know, with this 10 upgrade thing, my main workstation's right here. I've been using Microsoft Money.
Oh boy,
Here's,
you do
remember
like
this one?
you do
Way
like
back in-
antiques.
Works.
Holy
Oh, boy.
cow!
Old one,
I
you know,
remember that CDR.
And, you know, started using Microsoft Money, whatever 20 whatever years ago, all the way up to version 17 was the last one, and
That was the
Wait,
Sunset Edition.
exactly the Money Biz Sunset. Well, 10
Aptly named because Microsoft in 2006, I think, stopped making money. They gave up. They said, we surrender, Quicken, you win. And they got out of the money business, but they did, thankfully, release this Sunset Edition that you could continue to run it even though the servers were gone and the activation didn't exist and the cloud-based stuff was all gone. So you've been running that ever since for 9 years or something. Yeah.
And so when I upgraded the workstation to 10,
Uh-oh.
run Money, and it says this requires components of IE6. Yeah. And so you click OK, and it just goes away.
Yeah.
And so I went into add remove programs. It wasn't even listed.
Yeah.
So I reinstalled it.
Okay.
And it just does the same thing.
Well, I'm going to give you a thread that's at social.microsoft.com. There is a way to side load the critical DLL you need, and you can get information at microsoftmoneyoffline.wordpress.com, okay? There are some tricks, so go to this social.microsoft.com post, and you'll see that there are some things you need to replace the original DLL with a patched version. Importing OFX files caused some problems, but there's a way to fix that too. So you can actually, believe it or not, with a registry hack, you can, believe it or not. I'm not sure I would encourage this.
I think my question is, at this point, have you considered moving your data into something else?
Well, Quicken is
that'll
still
continue to be more
still
current?
out there, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, what I did is I just have an XP box over
There you
here,
go.
so I just threw it on there and.
I really liked Microsoft Money, and like you, I'd used Quicken, but when I went to Money, I found it was easier, it was slicker. I thought they did a really nice job, and I was very disappointed when they threw in the towel on that. But even Quicken is kind of on its last legs because most people don't balance their checkbook anymore, right?
Right. Yeah, what's that?
They use Mint, which is Intuit bought Mint, seeing the writing on the wall for Quicken, and that you just kind of give them all your accounts, and it automatically does the budgeting and everything. So you're kind of old school, but I could see that with the joystick and the floppy drive. So now I understand. I will show you one other program that, look, this will get Money working. So maybe that's the right answer. There are a number. I went to alternative2.net. Have you ever used that site?
Never.
Great site. It's an alternative to software that no longer works. Alternative2.net. And they listed a lot of programs. This is one I've used. It's in Java, and that's one of the reasons it continues to run. It's called MoneyDance. It's almost as old as Intuit's Quicken, but it still works. So, it's not free either. It's $50, but it does online banking, which I think your Money has stopped doing, right?
Right. Well, I never really used that anyway. It just, I've got 20 years of records. You pull up the yearly thing, you get to the end of the year, and you say, okay, where'd all the money go and all that kind of thing.
Okay, well, so I would say use this fix then on the Microsoft.com. Everybody who's on this thread, and this, by the way, is recent. There's August 2nd, because all these people started using Windows 10 and said, what? What? So there's
that social.microsoft.com?
Yeah, but I think you'd find the key article that you're looking for on this WordPress site, which is Microsoft Money Offline. .wordpress.com. That's where you get the DLL. Now, I'm going to have to say the obligatory thing that you're getting third-party software from some stranger on the internet.
Good point.
Right.
But everybody seems to be having a good experience with this. What could possibly go wrong? And you are using it for your most private financial transactions.
No big deal.
Your credit card numbers and your bank account. But, I think I would trust it. This is the difference between me and Steve Gibson. Steve's default is no way, never. Mine is, well, why not?
What could possibly go wrong?
Spin-right editions back there in my floppy drawers, too.
Do you?
Oh, yeah.
I'm loving this Apple II. So how often do you play Choplifter? Do you play Load Runner? That was another great game.
That was a great one.
Yeah, Load Runner. I don't know if you could, the shark thing is, actually been playing Castle Wolfenstein.
Oh, there we go.
That was so fun because the Apple II didn't really have a sound generator. So when the Nazis come in, they go, right? They could either be sneezing or saying Achtung. I'm not sure. But I love that. It still gives me chills, dude.
It's effective.
I hear that. Hey, it's
cool. I was teaching high school class to kids on computers. I brought in a bunch of Apple IIs.
Oh, you got to show them that. They won't believe it.
Playing Choplifter and all stuff. They were just going nuts for it all.
I love
trying to teach them. This is what you guys missed.
Did you show them how long it takes to load things?
I have a slot 1 computer that I have Windows 3.1 with DOS 6, Windows 95, Windows 98, and Windows XP.
Oh, well, money will run fine on that. Why just use that?
But to show them the Windows 3.1 loads real quick on a Celeron 1.4.
Wow. You know what? I think this is great for the kids to see. What's their reaction?
Oh, they just, I don't know. They're bored. They don't care. I showed them a compact portable 1.
Yeah.
And I hooked it up to a projector, and they're just like, huh? The thing weighs 40 pounds. Yes, this was the first carry-around.
Robert,
they're saying that computer doesn't fit in my pocket.
You and I, we have some reverence for this stuff. We went through it. We spent thousands of dollars on it. And to us, it really resonates, I guess, to kids today. Kids today, what are you going to do?
Yeah, right. Can't help them anyway.
It's great to talk to you, Robert, and I hope that helps you. All right, take care.
Thank you, Robert.
If you have a question for us, here's how you, too, can be on the new Screensavers.
Need tech help? The new Screensavers are here with answers. Email your tech questions to newscreensavers@twit.tv.
Thank you, Jim Cutler. I'm serious. Load Runner, Choplifter, on your main box. Load Runner, Choplifter.
Pretty certain they're there.
They should
already.
Be. As part of the MAME distribution, yeah?
Well, I don't know as part of the MAME official distribution. You kind of have to seek the ROMs out separate.
Right, but a lot of the MAME stuff are
not difficult to get.
Were coin-op games, right? These are Apple II games. I loved Choplifter.
Yeah,
sometimes
some of those games were made for different platforms. I'm pretty sure it's on there in one way or another.
No, it did not look like that. That is the fancy three-dimensional high graphics Choplifter. The one I'm thinking
This must be the Commodore 64.
Was green on a black screen. That Choplifter.
That's got to be Super Nintendo, actually.
You're rescuing people, right? You got to fly in, rescue them, they get on the plane.
Yeah.
All right.
Mixing your games.
All right, right now I want to take a break. Coming up in just a little bit, Andy Weir, we're going to talk about The Martian, a whole lot more. This is going to be a great show. But first, can I tell you, especially if you're a mobile developer in our audience, I have a solution for adding payments to your app, to your website. It is awesome. And if I tell you that it's what Uber and Lyft use, that should tell you something. Hotel Tonight and Airbnb use. GitHub has used it since the very beginning. I'm talking Braintree. With 10 lines of code, you can add Android Pay, you can add Apple Pay, you can add Venmo and PayPal and credit cards. And the thing is, if you think about what makes the Uber experience so great, I mean, and it's a wonderful mobile experience, but the best part is you get where you're going and you get out of the car. There's no, it's done.
No friction.
Yeah. And that friction-free, and that's what makes Braintree so amazing. We know that about 70% of shopping carts on mobile get abandoned before the payment happens because people look at it and go, I can't figure it out, or worse, I don't trust it. Braintree solves that. They make it easy, secure, fast. Your customers will say, oh, I get it. I recognize this. I've done this before. And of course, with superior fraud protection and customer service and super fast payouts, you and the boss are going to love Braintree. We're going to give you a little sweetener here. Go to BraintreePayments.com/NSS and you're going to get your first $50,000 in transactions fee-free. Browse around a little bit, though. You'll see there's so much more than I could get in the ad. There's so much great stuff. Look, just putting Apple Pay in your app is going to make people insanely happy. It's no coincidence that all of these big companies use Braintree. It's just the best. BraintreePayments.com/NSS, and you'll get that first $50,000 in transactions fee-free. It is awesome. We're going to talk live with Andy Weir, the author of The Martian. He's in the process of, I think he's an executive producer of the movie with Matt Damon.
No big deal. Just Matt Damon.
Nice. But first, our co-host from next week.
That's right.
Has a little tip for you. Becky Worley, take it away.
Hey, I'm Becky Worley. You can follow me at bworley on Twitter. But the real news, I was there the day they flipped the switch and the original Screensavers went live on Tech TV. I was in the booth. Leo and Kate were out on the floor. And now it's back. So excited. So, in honor of that, I have brought a few tips. This one first, Facebook tip. Facebook didn't even exist when the Screensavers went live the first time. But this is a kind of a life hack that's more, not exactly geeky, but it's going to save you some headaches. So when you get to your feed and you have someone who's having a major life event, like they have a new baby or they're getting married, like this happy couple, you put a congrats, a mazel tov, a best wishes. And then after that, hundreds of other people are going to put some sort of other comment or something that they're saying. Now, this can be around a baby announcement. It can be, when you send... someone's grandmother died and everyone's going to offer their condolences. Well, every time every other person makes a comment, you're going to get a notification. So on these major life events where there are going to be a ton of comments, after you make your comment, there's a little drop down right here on each post and you can turn off notifications. Once you do that, you will not be reminded that grandma passed away or maybe you want to be reminded that, Leo and Lisa had a beautiful wedding. But the point is, it keeps your feed a little bit cleaner and your notifications a little leaner. Thank you much. Becky Worley, at bworley on Twitter. Go Screensavers!
And now I know why I didn't get a baby gift.
Yeah,
from
no
Becky.
kidding.
She
Turn
turned
off notifications.
No, just teasing. Thank you, Becky Worley. As I said, she'll be here next week.
That's exciting.
It's great to have her
She's
back,
awesome.
the original producer of this show, or the old show. Meanwhile, I hope you saw our interview with, first of all, I hope you've read The Martian.
I have not.
You haven't read
The
it?
Martian. No, I don't have a whole lot of time to read. I suppose I should.
That's why
figure it out.
Audible.com. Have you ever heard of them? All right.
I do. I love
It's
Audible.
an awesome book, and you know what? You can read it in a long weekend. It's one of those books you can't put down.
Okay.
So you start, and it's all about astronaut Mark Watley. I don't think it's spoiling anything to say, because you'll learn this in the first few lines, he's stranded on Mars. And it's about the science, the engineering, the ingenuity, the perseverance that gets, at least that Mark uses to try to save his keister on Mars. Well, this guy right here, Andy Weir, wrote it. I was so thrilled to meet Andy. Hi, Andy. Good to see you again.
Hi, thanks for having me.
They're making a movie. Now, I think the story of this is great because you self-published this originally.
Yeah, I initially I was posting it chapter by chapter to my website, and
that's so cool.
Yeah.
Did you ever imagine
I know, right?
Ridley Scott would be making a movie of your great book?
No, I mean, it's the sort of thing you like fantasize about or daydream about when you're writing. It's like, oh yeah, this can be a movie directed by Ridley Scott starring Matt Damon. Yeah. But I don't really think that's going to come true. It's kind of like when you're 10 years old playing baseball with your friends and going like, it's the World Series, you know?
Yeah. This is bottom of the ninth. I'm up at bat. I'm going to save the team. Are they still filming? Because we've seen a couple of trailers, an unofficial kind of funny vlog trailer from Matt Damon. Did you love that?
Oh, yeah. Well, there have been 3 kind of trailers. There's been 1 theatrical trailer and then 2 so-called viral videos. And they're called, like, Aries 3 Live.
Yeah.
And those aren't, like, unofficial. Those are definitely part of the marketing effort.
Oh, I'm sure.
But they're not, like, the scenes in those 2 videos are not in the film.
Right.
Those are just purely marketing material.
Nor are they in the book. But it brings alive Mark Watley.
They took some elements of the
book.
Did
they? Oh, good.
Lyrics.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait. Now, so are they still filming or are they done?
They're done. They finished. They wrapped filming quite a while ago. I want to say like March.
Okay. Did you get to go to the set and watch?
They invited me to the set, but I'm not a real comfortable flyer, and they filmed it in Budapest.
Wait a minute.
So
the guy who wrote The Martian is afraid of flying?
Yeah, I know.
Actually, that makes sense, come to think of it.
Well, I'm getting better at it. I've flown a few times. NASA invited me to do a bunch of VIP tours at Johnson Space Center, and I just couldn't say no to that. So I had to fly out to Houston for that. Got to fly out to Houston for that. And I'm fighting the fear as best I can, but I wasn't able to steel myself for a flight to Budapest.
I don't blame you, Andy. There's no shame in that. I have turned down the Blue Angels twice. So, I
hope you're not going to turn it down a third time.
I will never ever fly in a Blue Angels jet. I'm telling you that right now. I'm not insane.
Just let them know if they want somebody. You're sitting right next to him.
So have you talked to Matt Damon a little bit? Did he ask you, give me some motivation for Mark?
No, I haven't spoken to Matt Damon at all yet. I will be seeing him this upcoming week. Not this week, but the next one. I'm going down to LA to do a bunch of stuff. I get to watch the film for the first time. I still haven't seen it myself yet. And then there's some marketing stuff.
Yeah. Are you nervous about seeing it?
Exactly.
No, because they included me in the screenplay. They involved me in the screenplay writing, and so I mean, not deeply. I'm not one of the writers or anything. That was all Drew Goddard, and he did a great job. But they sent me revs of it to get feedback and stuff, and so I know the screenplay. So I'm not worried about how will they do the adaptation? I know every line in the movie, so and I'm really happy with it.
Now you obviously you're the author of this story, and I know people who read a story and then see it turned into a movie. They're kind of afraid because they don't want what they had built up in their mind to be destroyed or changed, or they're not ready for the fact that what you see is different than what you read.
Read Andy's book before you go see the movie.
Yeah.
That's my
buy it. You need to really buy.
Buy several copies. Buy several copies. One for every.
You're gonna want a hardcover.
Get the Audible.
You're gonna want to get the audiobook for when you're flying.
No, actually, I'm sincere. I that's my general advice, anyways. You always want to. If there's spoilers, and there will be spoilers. You want them to be in the book because that's the original, and then you can enjoy the movie, not the other way around. So, Jason hasn't read it yet, so my strong advice, read this.
Jason.
I will. I'm sorry. I'm probably going to listen to it, if that's okay. Does Audible work?
The narrator of the audiobook, R.C. Gray,
that's
he did
awesome.
an excellent job. It's a fantastic audiobook, and he won an award for it.
He should.
Yeah. I promise you I will do that.
When Watley does use some strong language.
It's Watney.
Watney, I'm sorry. Watney does use some strong language. And when he does, I think R.C. Bray does such a good job. And I've burst out laughing.
Storm really well.
Yeah, I have burst out laughing listening.
Nice.
So this is exciting. Do you know, are they deviating from the book very much, or is it going to be?
No, they're following it very well.
Good.
There are parts that got cut because if you tried to put everything in, it'd be a 10-hour movie, right?
Yeah.
So they had to make some cuts, but the things they cut are the things that I would have cut, given the same,
Good.
If they said like, okay, you need to cut this down to, what would you cut? Pretty much the same things. So I think Drew and I are very similar when it comes to kind of writing style and what we prioritize. So I think he did a really good job. I think it's going to be a great film. And it's been testing well, too. So, because they show it to test audiences. to get feedback and stuff like that. It's all part of the process. And all indications are that it's doing very well.
I can't wait.
Now, Andy, you actually had the opportunity to do what I'm sure a lot of people would love to do and have never had the chance to. You got to talk with Buzz Aldrin. What was that all about?
Yeah, a few times actually.
That's awesome.
Yeah, Buzz just kind of decided he wanted to talk to me. Actually, his PA contacted me and said, "Yeah, there's a picture of us."
Is he a fan of the book?
I don't know if he's read the book, but he may have listened to it on audiobook or may have read it. But he actually was just he started reading my Facebook posts and then decided he wanted to chat with me about cyclers.
Wow.
Moon bases and stuff, and I'm like, sure, I'll talk to Buzz Aldrin. Yeah.
Well, and Buzz, of course, is very much in favor of Mars colonization movement. Going to
big
Mars.
time. Yeah. He's
so I'm sure he's interested. Yeah. Wow, that is so cool. I can't let you go. First of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
We're all really excited. The movie comes out for Christmas?
No, it got bumped up. So they're releasing it on October 2nd.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Very exciting.
Very cool.
We'll have a party. And I'll toast you. And
you should toast
and
me.
I will toast you. Forget that Ridley Scott, whoever heard him. But but I got to say, you also were in the news lately because your Comcast account got hacked. Tell us about some.
Yeah. Okay. So a hacker got control of my email account, which was a Comcast account. And you may be wondering, what dastardly, incredibly clever scheme did this hacker use to get a hold of my email credentials? Well, what he did was he called Comcast and asked them very nicely for control over the account.
Oh, are you serious?
Yeah, he social engineered it. And so
he pretended to be you, though, right?
Yeah, right. He pretended to be me, called Comcast, got them to do a password reset for him, and then he took over my email account. From there, he did. He started doing, forgot password.
Right.
Processes for various websites that I'm members of to take over those accounts. He managed to get a hold of Twitter, and thankfully, it looks like he's just some kind of vandal. Like, basically, all he was interested in was vandalizing my Twitter account, because that's basically immediately what he did was he took over my Twitter account and posted a bunch of racist tweets and stuff like that. Well, I mean, everybody knew it wasn't me.
Yeah, obviously.
And so Twitter, I filled out the form, and they immediately suspended the account. That was fine. Good. I got control of my email account back and kind of changed all my passwords and everything. And then, so while I was talking to Comcast, I said, okay, well, how I want to know when the initial password reset happened so I can figure out how long the hacker had control of my email. And it turned out the hacker had control for a little over an hour, which is pretty good, not that bad. And the Comcast rep said, like, oh yeah, and it was like 6:33 p.m. Your password was changed via a reset by a Comcast customer service rep. Man. And I was like, so the guy social engineered it. Then the guy got my password or got control of my account by asking nicely. And they said, no. I mean, he would have had to know a whole bunch of deep information about you to make that happen. He would have needed to know the answers to a lot of detailed questions. And I said, well, I just did the same thing, right? I just called up, and you guys did a password reset for me.
What did they ask you?
The only thing you asked me for was my home address and the last 4 digits of my social security number.
Wow.
That's it.
I'm sorry, Andy. That's
so if you want anybody's Comcast email,
just call them. That's what I do. Just call them up.
Last 4 of their social, and I don't understand why anybody ever thinks social security numbers are secret or protected data. Anymore. Everybody has your social security number.
But it's all better now,
because they all use it. They all use the last 4.
Yeah. And I was so I'm pretty mad about that.
And of course, you're no longer using Comcast for your main email.
Right. I'm no longer using it for my email. Now I use my Gmail.
Don't say what you're using.
No. I have a public email address for people to email me, and, like fans and stuff.
You're an open person. That's great.
For people to email you, you also get fan mail. This stood out to me because I'm from Idaho. Did a fan really send you a potato in the mail?
So you didn't read the book. You don't know what that means.
No, apparently.
Oh. Yeah, potatoes play a big part in the book, and I got many potatoes sent to me. And, yeah, there we go. There's the picture.
Why would people send you a potato? Oh, there's your address, by the way.
That's also
in case you want to hack Andy, just...
It's okay. that's also public. That's my package receiving address.
Oh, okay. All right.
So that's where. So both of these addresses that I talked about, my email address, which is my Gmail, and you can find that on my website and stuff. It's all very public. This is for fans to send fan mail and stuff like that.
And potatoes.
The package receiving address is so people can send me books if they want them to be signed and stuff.
Nice.
So it's all very public. Don't worry, there's nothing secret showing up on your show here. And so somebody sent me a potato, and they just wrote the address on the potato, and you can see tape around there because on the other side was the postage.
Oh, that's so funny.
And I think what blows me away is you can do that. You could just put a stamp on a potato and put it in the mail.
Anything. I could mail you if I wanted to, if you'd sit still.
Okay.
I don't think you can mail living things.
Who said he'd be living? So, whoa. No, I'm just.
This got dark.
I know, it's terrible.
He's going to send me to Mars the next chance
I would mail him to Mars. Andy, we're so, you're such a great guy, and you deserve this success. And what's nice is it hasn't gone to your head. You're just a normal guy now, and still, and I just love it. And are you right? I think we talked to you. So you're writing a new book, right?
Yeah, I'm working on my next book now. I'm about 75% of the way through the first draft. The due date for it is actually today.
Well, that explains why you were so willing to do this interview.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to make that due date, but my editor knows, so that's fine. But part of the reason I'm not making it, and they understand it, is because the movie got bumped up 2 months, and so the marketing push got really compressed, and I've been busy with a lot of that stuff. Even though I'm like really, really secondary. I mean, I'm not one of the stars. I'm not the director.
Oh, you're the star to us.
Yeah, well, thank you.
To us, you are more important than Matt Damon or Ridley Scott. You're Andy Weir, the author of The Martian. And you always will be.
Thanks.
You made it, man. Congratulations.
Awesome.
This has been a cool episode for me to watch, too, because I've been watching the whole episode.
Oh, thank you.
Like, you've been talking about all sorts of stuff. Before I quit my day job, I was a mobile app developer.
Right.
So you guys have been talking about, mobile security stuff.
Yeah.
And then later on, your advertisement was about,
mobile payments. Yeah. If you ever want to get back in the business, I'll hook you up.
Yeah. I was thinking, what a great advertisement. It specifically says for just 10 lines of code. And it's like, that targets engineers.
Yep. You know what that means.
You're like, yeah, because first thing I think when they're like, oh, you can integrate this in your app, and I would think, what kind of nightmarish library and crap will that be? I'm like, 10 lines of code.
I can do that. Andy, you don't have to ever do that again. Yeah.
I liked programming.
Okay.
So when I quit my day job, it wasn't like a take this job and shove it thing. No. I liked programming. I liked my coworkers. I liked my job. Yeah,
I love it. It's a great hobby. It's a better hobby than it is profession.
I don't know. I did it for 25 years. I was
really?
Yeah.
There was mobile apps 25 years ago?
No, I wasn't doing mobile.
Okay.
No, 25 years ago. So I was one of the programmers on Warcraft 2.
What?
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. That's how long I've been at it.
Andy Weir, we bow down to you again and again. The more I learn, the more I love this guy. It's so great to talk to you.
I was a junior engineer at the time.
I don't care.
Doesn't matter.
No, stop with that stuff. You were on Warcraft 2, my friend. You were the guy. Tell him this. Stop touching me. You can say. Stop touching me.
Bill. Oh shoot! Why am I forgetting his name?
Stop. Hello.
Roper. Bill Roper.
Bill Roper.
It's the voice that did
love
those.
That.
Like, what do you want? Join the army, they said. See the world, they said.
I had such fond memories of that. Andy, great to talk to you. Congratulations. We can't wait till the movie opens.
Thanks.
And everybody who hasn't read The Martian must read it now.
Okay, I'll listen to it. I promise.
And you know what?
I've got a credit on Audible.
Steve Gibson, who you just saw doing the security thing, just read it like about 3 weeks ago. And he said, I read it in 2 days. I could not stop. It was awesome. And you know what he did? Because he likes to read on the treadmill. He scanned it in and put it on his Kindle. He bought a copy. He bought it.
Scanned it rather than just buying the ebook?
Shh. He's a little strange.
It's great. It seems like a lot of work. There's about 20 ways that are better.
I know. He likes to do things by hand.
I would hope that he would, at the very least, just pirate the damn thing.
No. Stop touching me. All right. Thank you, Andy. It's great to talk to you.
All right. Thanks for having me.
Congratulations.
Congrats.
Man,
Thank you.
Isn't it great? Andy Weir, everybody. He is just. It's what's amazing is
that's inspiring. I mean,
he's sitting there with the Afghan his mom knitted over the couch, and he's just a normal guy. He could be like all Mr. Hollywood now. Matt Damon's doing my movie. Yeah, no big deal. No, he's just a normal guy. Remember Alex Wilhelm from TechCrunch? He is a big Twitter fanatic, and we thought we'd get a little tip from him on how to get your lists organized. Alex?
Hey guys, it's Alex from TechCrunch.com here, and I have a tip for you. So if you're a big Twitter user like I am, I literally live and die by Twitter. I've been on for like 8 years now. But some people you just don't want to follow because they tweet too much. I'm one of those annoying people. There are lists. Now, lists are an old Twitter product that's kind of fallen by the wayside as time has gone along. But if you don't know about them, you really should. You can follow people on individual lists sorted by, genre, topic, author, whatever you want. And so you can follow people, but not have them in your main feed. So you don't bombarded by constant tweets about their breakfast and whatever. It's a great way to keep things organized, safe, and simple.
Thank you, Alex Wilhelm, TechCrunch. Nice little tip.
Yeah.
So I've been waiting for this MAME thing.
You've been waiting.
How long ago did you start this project?
So I don't know if you remember, but this week in Google, we had Aaron Newcomb on. I don't know, it was probably 3-4 months ago. Yeah, right around 4 months ago. The episode title is Aaron's Arcade. He brought in a tabletop arcade that he had kind of put together, designed himself around an Instructables how-to. And I think I made some sort of random comment on This Week in Google to the effect of, oh man, I'd love to do that. I'll probably never do it, but that is so cool. And a fan of This Week in Google on the Twit network, Diami Plotke, reached out to me on email like a week later and said, hey, I'm a hobbyist woodworker. I kind of do this stuff and I love it, and I heard what you said on This Week in Google, and I'd love to help you build it.
So he's going to do the hardware, the cabinet, the wood.
Yeah, he's primarily...
And you're going to do the software, kind of.
Yeah, a little bit of the wiring and stuff, but he has all the components, as you'll see in the interview. I talked to him a few days ago, and yeah, I don't know. It's just I'm giddy because I never thought I was going to get one of these things, and now I've got someone on my team.
So jealous.
Playing for me. So yeah, let's take a look at this interview that I had with Diami.
All right, so I'm super thrilled to be sitting down and actually talking for the first time with voices and video with Diami Plotke. He is a hobbyist woodworker. Also has a personal blog at penultimatewoodshop.com, and you are the founding member of the Modern Woodworkers Association. Is that right, Diami?
Yes, I am, Jason. Hello.
Right on. It's so good to have you here, especially because we've been kind of working on this project for, I think, about 3 months now in various stages.
Seems like a long time.
So this kind of feels like something even more official. Up until this point, it's been a lot of kind of emails back and forth, and now I can actually see your face and hear your voice. So it's very nice to talk with you.
You too.
So, okay, before we kind of get into the project, explain a little bit about kind of what you do as a woodworker. Is this your full-time gig, or is this something that you do because you're passionate about it, and kind of a little bit about kind of the podcasts that you do on the topic?
Well, the woodworking is just a hobby. It is something I'm very passionate about. I love every minute I'm in the shop building something, but as a general rule, it doesn't pay much, and I do it after work, so it is just a hobby. In terms of the blog, there's a very big online woodworking community, and years ago I decided I wanted to be a part of it. So the blog is just me sharing what I'm building, and it's a fundamental part of being part of the community is to have a site like that. As I'm sure you need a personal site of some sort to be part of the community. And then what I discovered in meeting online friends at conventions is that there's nothing better than sitting around and talking with people face to face who you share what is otherwise a solitary habit with. And woodworking is a very solitary thing. You're in the shop alone for hours doing something.
Oh, I imagine.
There are these people we talk to all the time. And after meeting at conventions, we decided we needed to do something to kind of share the camaraderie of it. So the Modern Woodworkers Association is a group of online woodworkers. We're all over the place. And it's basically just people who get together and talk about woodworking. And we do a podcast about every other week. We bring in another woodworker. There's two of us who host, Tom and myself, and we bring in another woodworker, and we talk about just woodworking. There are lots of really instructional woodworking podcasts out there. We're more social, just a couple people sitting around talking about woodworking, the hobby we love.
Well, I appreciate that you have moved this project in front of other things, because really it kind of came out of nowhere. And just to kind of, catch people up to date, kind of explained it a little bit already, but on This Week in Google, Aaron Newcomb showed off his own bar top MAME arcade. And I've always wanted my own MAME arcade. Like, yes, I've played MAME and emulation and, on a desktop computer and all that kind of stuff, but it's one thing to do it that way. It's another thing to actually have a cabinet to kind of saddle up to and play the game. So I mentioned it on Twig, and sure enough, out of the woodwork, as they say, comes Diami Pilatki with an email to me saying, hey, I do this stuff. I'll help you build it. What do you think? And to which I said, heck yeah, and I really appreciate it. I'm amazed. What inspired you to kind of get involved at this level?
Well, in hearing you guys talk about it, I could hear your enthusiasm and Aaron's enthusiasm. And if you go back and listen to it, I think there was a lot of hesitation on your part about actually building the carcass. And when I call it a carcass, it's the wooden frame. If you build a cabinet, the carcass is the part that's not the drawers. So when I refer to the carcass, it's the body of the arcade. And Aaron was kind of talking about how it's really not that hard, but you seemed a bit reluctant to jump into building this cabinet. I figured that's the part I can do very easily. The electronics, I kind of know what I'm doing, but I wouldn't jump into building a MAME myself at this point. So I figured if I can do the part that I like and you do the part that you like, and we're both happy making something, and then you end up with it, that's great.
That's awesome. Well, I appreciate that. Yes, it scares the living out of me doing anything with wood, essentially. I know enough to get myself into trouble with almost everything, probably including the electronics of the MAME cabinet. So we'll see how successful this is in the end. I don't even know how capable I am of wiring this thing, but hopefully we can get Aaron Newcomb to kind of help out as far as that's concerned. So anyway, so you reached out and said, hey, I'm going to help you with the carcass of the MAME cabinet. And from there, it kind of turned into, okay, Aaron Newcomb kind of has a walkthrough of essentially what kind of components are needed for something like this. So it kind of fell in my lap to start to buy all of the pieces that need to go into this. And I don't think I considered at the start of this just how many pieces it was going to take. I was like, I'll get some controls, get a monitor, and I'll be set. But there's a lot more that goes into this. I shipped it all to you, but just to kind of go through it real quick, we've got the buttons and joysticks that go on either side. Also, one of my favorite all-time games is Marble Madness, and it requires one of these arcade trackballs. So I was like, okay, maybe we can modify the plan and put the trackball in there. It does require, at least in this regard, the Raspberry Pi down there, some speakers. Well, I guess both the speakers and the monitor, these are going to be stripped away to a certain degree. Is that right?
Yeah, we haven't really talked about the speakers, but I'm assuming that I need to take them apart a little bit to mount them inside the carcass. The monitor is going to be pretty easy to mount inside. I'm just going to, I'll hide the whole thing. I think I can hide the entire bezel behind the wood, and you'll just see the monitor. The speakers, I'm not there quite yet in terms of the build and the design, but I'm thinking that the speakers will have to be taken apart a little bit. I think that's what Aaron did on his.
That's exactly what he did. I believe he took those casings apart completely and just like mounted it directly into the wood. And again, this is where like my mind kind of explodes a little bit. I'm like, all I would do is destroy the speakers in the process. So we'll see how this works. Ultimately, they weren't that expensive. Just to kind of break it down beyond that, it's a 19-inch LCD monitor that's going to be mounted inside there. There's also a power socket and a switch to make it easy to turn it on or off, and to provide power inside of the cabinet. And then those speakers. The total amount that I've spent on these components alone is about $290. And all I could say is you reaching out to do the cabinet is a big deal, only because I have to imagine the parts and the labor that would normally go into building something like this. Like, what would you say is the value of something like that from the work that you do?
It's a little hard to judge because what we're making, or what I think I'm making, is a piece of art that is a MAME cabinet. You could do something as simple as MDF, medium density fiberboard. It's a very cost-effective sheet good. It takes paint very well. And for an arcade cabinet, you could paint the whole thing black and put graphics on it. And in terms of the construction of that carcass, it would be very straightforward and simple. And I'm thinking someone with reasonable proficiency could make the carcass out of MDF, excluding the design, in probably about 10 hours, 5 hours, somewhere in that ballpark, 5 to 10 hours to put it together. What we're doing is a bit more involved because on the one hand, and please don't take this as a complaint. I'm really excited about this, but you're changing the design by adding that ball in the middle.
Right.
So I have to reproportion everything to accommodate the controls. And I'm using a technique called relative dimensioning, where each piece is the size of piece B is based on the size of piece A, and it keeps going on like that, rather than just have arbitrary or defined measurements. So I started with laying out the buttons and the pad in full scale to figure out how wide does the machine need to be to accommodate all those controls. And then I worked up to the monitor, and the monitor is not nearly as wide as the controls are, but it determines the height of the cabinet.
Sure.
So doing all that design work took me about 4 hours the other day just to figure out the two main pieces, the control board the control board and the monitor board. How big are they? Now that I have that, it'll take me an hour to size the rest of it. So there's quite a bit of design work in making sure that everything fits properly.
Aaron's version of the bar top, excluding the trackball, everything kind of fit into the square. And it sounds like what you're talking about, it's going to kind of expand a little bit beyond the square, if that makes sense.
It's going to be... I'm basing everything off the Inventables article that Aaron referenced.
Right. Okay.
So assuming that he built to those dimensions, yours is going to be in the ballpark of 4 inches wider to accommodate the trackball, something like that.
My Marble Madness Gaming appreciates that, so thank you.
Well, I'm pulling out the template now. Yours will be 24 and a half inches wide plus the width of the side panels. So you'll probably be about 26 and a half inches wide when we're all done.
Wow. I'm so excited for this. Now, another thing that kind of came up along the process is graphics and imagery. You know, one part of this is, of course, the hardware that you put into it. The other part is making it look pretty, and you can do this a number of ways. I know that Aaron had some LED lighting behind a kind of transparent panel so that it could light up. I didn't feel like that was necessary, so I sent over some graphics to you, and let me see if I can pull this up. We kind of... because of the width of the marquee, we took kind of a neat little MAME graphic, and then you asked for the yellow gold logo. So suddenly it's going to be turned, and yellow gold, by the way, is kind of a name for music that I create just as kind of a passion project. So now it's become the yellow gold MAME cabinet, which I absolutely love. What is the process? You explained a really cool process for printing these graphics onto wood directly. What is that?
It's a process I learned from Steve Ramsey. He's a woodworker for the site Woodworking for Mere Mortals. And what you're doing is you take an Avery label sheet that you would put through an inkjet printer, and you peel off all the labels first. So now it's basically just like wax paper, and you feed that into the printer. You reverse your image and print onto that waxy paper surface. Then you take that and you can apply it to the wood and rub it in. And if you see here, that's my logo. I experimented with it for the first time this weekend.
Nice.
That's my logo backwards. I didn't bother reversing it. Printed on the piece of wood with this technique. And then after that, I did your logo.
Oh, okay,
so
there we go.
There's yellow gold printed onto a piece of plywood with a couple layers of shellac on top of it. So that's essentially what it's going to look like, though the wood beneath it will be a bit prettier in the cabinet.
Right. Different type of wood that it's being printed to. Well, that's really cool. That's really cool. Now, one big wrinkle that we kind of have here is the fact that you're on the East Coast. We're obviously on the West Coast. Have you ever kind of executed a project that's bi-coastal like this? And what about kind of the whole shipping process?
I've never shared a project like this where I'm doing one component and I'm going to ship it across country and have somebody else do the other component.
Right.
But I have built a piece and sent it across. Once I have the carcass finished, I'm going to build a box around it, and then we'll ship that box over. It might be a little expensive, but I don't think it's going to really risk damaging anything. What I do think is a potential risk, which you might not have thought about, is the fact that this is made of real wood and wood moves. So based on the atmosphere and the humidity and things like that, the wood will expand and contract. We're both on the coast. I don't know that there's going to be that much movement. It's not like I'm shipping it to Phoenix. But what I'm going to do to accommodate the movement is when I'm building it, I'll make sure that all my wood grain is oriented properly so that it expands and contracts together. It doesn't fight itself and want to break apart. Another thing I'm going to do that I don't always do is I'm going to finish the inside of the cabinet also. And that should retard the rate at which the wood absorbs and releases moisture and minimize the amount of movement.
Well, I'm floored that you're doing any of this and all of this for the screensavers and for my own personal gain, which is to have an awesome MAME cabinet. I'm sure there will be challenges along the way. What we're planning on doing, of course, is you'll be shipping it back to the Twit studio here, and then we're going to check back in a future episode and kind of hopefully finalize assembly of things, and I can do that on this end and kind of put the electronics where they need to be, and then I can get to playing. So I really appreciate you taking the time and effort, a lot of effort, to put this all together, Diami. It's really, really
no
super
problem.
Cool.
It's a delight to build. I really enjoy it.
Cool. So definitely head on over to penultimatewoodshop.com. You can find Diami's personal blog there. Follow the podcast, Modern Woodworkers Association. It's a bi-weekly podcast on woodworking specifically, and then, of course, Chaircast if you want to find out more about Diami's adventures in sculpting a rocking chair. Diami, thanks again, and we will be checking back with you very soon to hopefully finalize the project.
You got it, Jason. Thank you.
All right. Take care, Diami. Now, back to Leo and future me.
I'm back. So how long is that going to take now? Because I want you to switch it on the show.
I would love that. That would be awesome. So he's working hard on it right now around the things he normally does. This is totally a spare time project of his. And I don't know, we're probably looking at somewhere around a month, 6 weeks, 7 weeks, right around there. So I'm guessing we could probably come back here, check back in another 2 months
I'd love
at
to
the most.
I'd love to.
Put, assemble the controls, and then, the electronics underneath, and then hopefully at the end of the episode, power that sucker on, and then I will go ahead and
I want to see your Marble Madness
skills.
skills. That's what I want to see. I want to see how good you are.
I will show you.
You
my
really
Marble
added
Madness
some
skills.
complexity to that job with that big giant.
Little bit. I think it'll be worth it.
You need it for centipede. You need it for joust. You got to have it. I mean, I'm sorry.
I agree.
Actually, I don't think you need it for joust, but
no, not joust.
Very cool. We'll follow along, and I hope have the first boot up right here.
Yes.
Coming up, another call for help. But first, Jason Calacanis with a great tip for managing teams.
Hey everybody, I'm Jason Calacanis. You can follow me on Twitter at Jason. I am an angel investor, internet entrepreneur, blogger, podcaster, yada, yada, yada. And today I wanted to tell you about a piece of software I use to manage my teams. And it's called dayboard.co. It's a very simple browser extension for Chrome. And when you open it, it says, what are the top 5 things you have to do today? And so when I look at my top 5 tasks, I can check them off and say that I've done them. And then I can put in tomorrow's tasks, but only 5 tasks and only for today and tomorrow. My team then sees what tasks I'm working on, and it just gives everybody a lightweight way of knowing what everybody on the team is doing. This is critical for me because sometimes I'll ask somebody to do something and I won't know what they're working on. This is like that question when your boss comes up and says, hey, what are you working on? You say, I'm working on A, B, C, and D. Well, I can see that, A, B, C, and D. It takes literally 3 minutes, 4 minutes to fill out in the morning. And by the end of the day, if you have your stuff checked off, it really creates a GSD culture in your company, getting ish done. And it's I don't know who makes this company. I think it's somebody in Canada. It's super cheap. I think it's free if you have under 10 people on your team, and then you pay like $50 a month if you have more. I'm not an investor in it, although I should be. Dayboard.co, a great way to do lightweight sort of team management without it being draconian and like you're checking in on your people. I just love this product. It's elegant, it's simple, and it's affordable.
Thank you, Jason. That's actually cool. I want to start. We could use that here. That's really dayboard.co. It's time for another call for help. Stop touching me. On the line right now, Tyra.
For the record, I was not touching Leo.
He wasn't touching me.
Okay.
Job done. On the line, Tyra from Harbor City. Hi, Tyra.
Hello, it's actually Tira.
Tira, nice to meet you.
Yes, nice to meet you too.
And you're college bound?
Yes.
Is this your first year? Are you going to be a freshman?
Yes.
Are you so excited?
Very excited.
Do you know what you're going to study yet?
I want to major in hospitality.
Okay, that's actually a great business because no computer could ever do hospitality as well as a human can.
That's true.
Right? That you want to be in a service
they're
industry.
making robots that can do some stuff. No?
No.
Okay, all right.
No robot could. It's no good. So what can we do to help you, Tira?
Okay, so my parents said that they want to get me like a laptop or a tablet for college, and I wasn't too sure which one to get.
Okay.
I was wondering like what you would recommend to get.
Good. Good. First thing to do always when you're going off to college is and you probably have already gone to the campus to meet people and kind of get oriented, right?
Yes.
Okay. There will be somebody there at IT department, the campus bursar, somebody who will give you information about expectations. Like we have printers that you can use, but you need maybe some schools nowadays. I think everybody's kind of cool with Windows or
Pretty
Mac,
open,
but some schools might have preferences. Have you had that conversation?
Not quite yet.
Okay.
I was actually kind of looking at some that I really liked.
Yeah, and do you know if you want to do Windows or Mac yet?
Windows.
Okay. So tell me what you liked. Well, actually, even before then, did mom and dad give you a budget?
No, it's whatever I need. So
Nice.
All right.
Nice.
Let's do this right then.
Nice. So what have you been looking at?
I've been looking at the Surface Pro 3, the Lenovo Yoga 3 Pro, and the HP Spectre.
That's so funny. I have tabs up for some of my recommendations. I think the Surface is a great choice. That's Microsoft's own tablet. As you know, there's two different ones. There's the Surface, not Pro, just the regular Surface 3. That's $500 minus that keyboard. But it is Windows 10, and then they, of course, make a Surface Pro 3, which is going to be about $300 more. And then you have to add $129 for the keyboard, and you're going to have to buy, you might want to buy a stylus. One of the great things about the Surface is it's both a tablet, it's a convertible, it's a tablet and a laptop.
Yeah.
I love the touch screen. Do you draw? Will you be doing some drawing or
Probably
illustration? No, you're not an artist? Okay.
No.
It's great for artists because you can illustrate right on the screen. A lot of cartoonists love the Surface line. The nice thing about this, it's Microsoft, right? So it's going to be, it's kind of like buying a Google phone. It's going to be supported by Microsoft Best. It's going to have Microsoft. One of the things Microsoft hates, and most users do, is how the other companies will load trialware and just junk on your system and antivirus you don't need and stuff. Microsoft doesn't ever do that. So you're getting the most, just like, kind of like Android. You're getting the pure Windows
Can be like Android.
10 experience, yeah.
If you're getting it from Google Android.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So I think I think the Surface is a good choice. I wouldn't necessarily say you need the Pro. It's a little faster. But either one of those is going to be good. And if you have the budget to get the Pro, that's a full-blown computer. You did mention, I think the other two you mentioned are good. I would also include the Asus Transformer. This is another convertible. Their newest, the 701, has a really nice screen. This is a little bit less expensive. They're using a Tegra processor. Actually, is this a Windows one? I think it is. Oh, I hope it is. And then finally, I should show you what I'm using, which is the Dell laptop. These are nice because the screen goes all the way to the edge. It's a real laptop. Now, it's not a convertible. You can't. I wouldn't recommend ripping the screen off the top of this here because it's not going to come off. But I think in some ways, especially if you're writing a lot of papers or if you're doing a lot of typing, having a real keyboard, you should certainly, if you can. Is there a Microsoft store in your neck of the woods?
I don't think so.
If you're in Harbor Cities in Arizona, right?
No, it's in California. It's around Long Beach.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there actually is a Long Beach Microsoft store, I think. So if you can get to a Microsoft store, try that keyboard before you decide, because it's not, I don't think, as good as what we call a full travel keyboard, one where the keys really, you can really bang on them. And since I think you're going to be writing
You're going to be living your life on that keyboard for the next few years, so you might as well know for sure that you want to live your life on that keyboard.
Less important is the size of the hard drive, the size of the RAM, the speed of the processor. Most important is the stuff you interact with, the keyboard, the trackpad, and the screen. Those are the things you're going to be using. And almost any modern computer running Windows 10 is going to do everything you want it to do. You want what we call the ergonomics, the usability factors to be as good as possible. So I would definitely, I think everything you've mentioned is good. I would maybe not the HP. A couple of reasons. First of all, HP is notorious for the junkware they put on their systems. But more importantly, they've announced they're getting out of the PC business.
That's not a good sign.
I just would worry about their commitment to the platform if they're getting out of the PC business. Dell is in it for the long haul. Microsoft, I think you can count on them. Acer is another good company. Lenovo is a good company. All of them are good. And expect to spend, once you've got everything you need, somewhere around $1,000. It's not going to be a $200 computer because this is something you're going to keep for all 4 years.
Yes.
Yeah. And it will last. This is the good news for mom and dad. It should last you all 4 years.
All right, that's what we're hoping for.
Yeah. Make sure you have backup, right? Very important. Either an external hard drive or a USB drive or something that's online backup so that you don't lose your data. That's so important. People sometimes forget that, and they put everything on their computer. They lose the computer, and by the way, laptops get lost easily. That's a bad thing. Because are you going to live in a dorm or you're living at home?
I'm living at home.
Okay, so you don't have to worry about speakers or home entertainment, big screen or anything like that. This is for schoolwork.
Yes.
Yeah. I think, you know what? I really like this Dell. I think this is a great laptop computer. But the ones you mentioned are fine. This XPS starts at $800. Another question maybe is, do I need touch? Because you pay a little extra for touch. For instance, the non-touch is $800. The touch is $400. It's $1,300. $500.
Wow, that's a big price
increase. There's some other
just
differences there. It's an i5, not an i3. It's got more memory and stuff. But honestly, touch is expensive. And I think on Windows 10, you don't need touch. Are you using Windows 7 now? What do you use today?
I still have Windows XP, actually.
So you're a desktop user, not a tablet user. And I think that the nice thing about 10 is it really can be used fully in desktop mode, in which case touch makes no sense. You would want to use a mouse. So I wouldn't worry about a touch screen if you're coming from XP. You're going to like this.
Do you see that changing over the next 4 years?
No, Microsoft, remember, that was the whole point of Windows 8 was, let's make a touch interface. And it really didn't go over all that well because a lot of people still think of Windows as a desktop operating system and they want to use a mouse. And the problem is, and you might even notice that I'm having trouble a little bit, I'm in the desktop mode and I'm trying to manipulate with touch these little buttons and it's kind of hard to do. So a mouse is always going to be a better way. I think, if you're used to the desktop, to use the desktop. So don't worry about touch so much. That's, by the way, a reversal of my advice for Windows 8. I said you have to get touch with Windows 8 because so much of it is touch focused. Is that your brother and sister making noise in the background there?
There are some kids in the background,
There's some kids. Are you the first one in your family to be going away? Oh, yes. Okay, here's another thing. Get ready. Your mom and dad are going to be very sad. That's hard. At least you're staying at home.
Yeah.
Good luck in your studies. Enjoy your new computer.
Okay. Also, one more quick question.
Sure, Tira.
What do you think about Windows 10?
I like it.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you're first of all, XP. It's
big change.
Time to stop.
Yep.
Time to step away from XP. Don't get Windows 8. Windows 10 is everything Windows 8 was and more. It's a really nice operating system. We're back to the start menu. As an XP user, you're going to like that. They put the Windows 10 or Windows 8 style tiles on the start menu. You can turn that off if you want. But you're used to a desktop. You're going to want to see a desktop operating system. And 8 will not give you that as much as 10 will. I feel like 10 is awesome. I'm very happy with Windows 10. All right, Tira?
Okay, thank you.
Congratulations. We expect big things from you. How exciting. Take care, Tira. If you'd like to be on the show, it's easy. Just send us an email. Watch.
Need tech help? The new screensavers are here with answers. Email your tech questions to newscreensavers@twit.tv.
Wasn't she adorable? Oh, that's so exciting.
I know, right?
It's kind of the beginning of life, right? When you graduate high school.
It's
now
certainly
you're
a
going
next
out in the
chapter.
world. Yeah.
You don't really know what you got in store for you.
Oh, boy.
She's going to do great.
Her parents don't know either, let me just tell you. So this is my new doorbell. I thought I'd share this with you. You know, this is so cool. We had a doorbell in the house that you couldn't hear in the house. So like people would stand at our door and like ring and ring. And I'd say to Lisa, do you hear the doorbell? No, I don't think so. And we'd keep watching our movie. Now we have Ring, and this is awesome because not only does Ring all of our devices, my smartphone, my tablets, it also will do it even here at the studio when somebody rings our doorbell at home. This is very easy to install. I'm not exactly the handiest guy in the world, but it comes with everything you need. The drill bit if you need to drill holes, a level, a screwdriver, all the handles, and of course the doorbell. Here's the pleasant sounding Ring chime. Now, here's the cool thing. Look at this ring. See that? That's a camera. So what happens with the Ring doorbell is when somebody rings your doorbell, no matter where you are, anywhere in the world, your smartphone's going to give you an alert saying somebody's ringing the doorbell. You can press a button, talk to them. They can talk to you. You can see them. They can't see you, which is probably a good thing. Probably. And it even has a motion detector. So not only can I answer the doorbell, but I can see what's going on outside my front door. You know, about 95% of, I don't want to scare anybody, home break-ins happen during the daytime. Almost always, the bad guy's going to ring your doorbell before he breaks in. You're going to have video of that. You're going to be able to respond to them. You're going to say, hey, yeah, I'm in the back here. Just leave the package at the front, or he's just going to run away. It gives you security. It gives you peace of mind. It's a better doorbell. And we're going to get you $10 off right now if you go to ring.com/NSS. That's under $200, $189, just because you heard it on the new Screensavers. We love our Ring doorbell. In fact, just this morning, what was it we were talking about? Oh, we found a stack of Xbox games on our doorstep. And we didn't know where they came from. And I thought, well, that's easy. I'll just look at the video. And it turns out it was a kid across the street dropping them off because he didn't want them anymore. But I wouldn't have known that if I didn't have a Ring. I love Ring. You will too. Ring.com/NSS for more information. All right, I've sent Jason across to talk to Clay Bell about using his iOS devices for recording. Jason?
How's it going, Clay? I am super thrilled to be standing next to you, partially because your music's really good.
I thank you.
Really appreciate you coming to the studio to kind of show us what you're doing, not only as just a gigging musician, a professional musician, but also as someone who uses technology and mobile technology in a very unique way. Can you explain kind of how you bring, iPads into your setup?
Certainly. The great thing about this, I'm using a program called Auria, and some people call it Aria. I think they prefer the term Auria. I don't know which is correct. But I ran into a situation where I was recording a full-length studio album recently, and I really wanted to be able to take my time with the vocals and not pay for all the vocal time. It adds up really quickly. And as a performing musician, I sometimes do 4 or 5 shows a week. It's not uncommon doing 2 or 3 hour shows. So you never know what state your voice is going to be in. So this freed me up to start recording at home. It's really simple, just using an Apogee Duet into there, and it just works seamlessly together. And it also ties really well with Dropbox, so I can send people files. As soon as I get done recording, I can do as many takes as I want. I believe you can do 48 tracks of playback with this, and they're going to start. This is their current version. They're going to update this. They have videos, all the new features that they're about to have. I use it really simply. I mostly do it for songwriting ideas. When I come up with a new song, it really helps do it to complete an idea. But another thing that's really great about it is sometimes my internet at home goes out, and it's not always reliable. And if I need to upload tracks or need to send tracks to someone else, I just take my iPad to the coffee shop, and I just sit there and download what I need or upload what I need, and go back home, and I can work on everything. So nothing can really slow me down with this. There's a lot of times when I'm backstage waiting to go on, and it might be 5 hours. It might be 6, 7 hours somewhere. And this allows me to work on things from the road. Just last night I was in Sacramento, and I was playing with a show with a guy named Bray, and he went to the hotel room and was working on his new album in the hotel room, and this technology lets you do that.
That is super cool. So before you had this setup to kind of manage your recordings on the go, were you using something before that? Were you using more of a traditional kind of setup, like a Pro Tools rig, hooked up to a desktop computer or whatever? Has this kind of replaced that type of recording for you?
This has replaced everything that I do, that I need to do. Before this, I had a 2-track reel-to-reel. So I did I wanted that organic sound, and you can still take this and bounce it to analog devices. I like to not bog things down, so I use my own compressors at home. I use vintage outboard gear because I think that's really important in getting the sounds that I like, which is more organic. but you can do a lot of manipulation here as well.
Wow. And you find that the converters, the quality of the converters that you have with the Apogee box, do you find those to be as good, if not better, than what you've been using prior? I mean, anything that you've used prior? I'm amazed by how mobile this stuff has gotten, and always the kind of limitation was, well, yeah, sure, you could record audio with your mobile device, but it's not going to sound very good. Now it seems like all this stuff is kind of at a point to where it will sound as good as anything else.
I think 99% of the people couldn't tell a difference between the two. And even back in the day, if you used something like Pro Tools, you were probably using Apogee converters if you wanted it to sound good. So, this is just 2 channels, and I just do 2 channels at a time. But that's plenty enough for me to do a vocal take or stereo guitar pass as well. Or if I want to try 2 different mics out, I can record the 2 different mics to 1 channel or 2 different channels and see which sounds best with that song.
What is the kind of maximum I/O for a duet, and can you do even more than that? Like, could you do 16-channel simultaneous record with an iPad nowadays?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't know. I mean, for me, it just seems to work best with 2 channels. I'm not sure if their new operating system is going to allow for, they do another, Apogee has a quartet, which is 4 channels as well. But this is, right now, it's still in the stages of, you probably don't want to bog it down too much.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, of course, people are always going to take this kind of thing and push it to its utter limits and try and do more than anyone else has ever done and see if they can pull it off. So would you say there are a lot of professionals that you see when you're out on the road recording like this? Is this pretty common to see now?
This is really common to see, especially with musicians that travel a lot. Yeah, this is the next generation of recording technology for sure. Yeah.
Now, you've done something that interests me. I've certainly done it on my own in my own music. You've worked remotely with people in different locations to kind of record songs and construct it, I imagine, after the fact. What was the way that you did that? How did you pull that off?
I was in a band 20 years ago, and we broke up around that time. We had a record contract, and we had a lot of songs that we never had finished all the way, and we really wanted to get back together and do a reunion show. So we're doing that next Saturday in Little Rock, Arkansas. Mm-hmm. 2 of the guys in the band still live in Little Rock. 1 guy works at MIT in Boston, and I'm here. And there was no way we were going to get together to work on this album. So the drummer went to the studio and in Pro Tools recorded his tracks, and then I was in my 8x7 little tiny miniature studio, and I got his tracks, and as long as there's some tricks to it, but as long as you don't have multiple tracks under your track, you're in good shape. And as long as you start at 0, everything comes together fine. And what we found after trial and error was to do, instead of each time downloading every instrument, because when you record multi-track, you've got, you can have 2 drums just on the bass drum. Sure. And so we would just do a very rough mix of everything, and then you would just download those 2 tracks. Mm-hmm. Like I said, they use Dropbox. That's what they like to use. Yeah. And then you put your parts in, and you make sure that all the parts are joined together, because if not, you're going to have, if you do a comp track and you don't join your parts, you're going to send somebody 20 guitar tracks that are impossible to put together.
Yeah, exactly.
So as long as you have everything joined, it works great. Yeah.
Do a crossfade around all your regions, consolidate it to a single region. That one audio file goes out versus like 30 little pieces that have to be put together like a puzzle.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
That's really cool. I love talking about this process, partially because I've done it, and it was it's indicative of how democratized, like I said earlier, democratized audio production has become. You can do so much for not very much money. How much does an app like this cost?
I think right now they're half off. I think it's $24.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That empowers everybody to kind of get involved and do multi-track recording, which, I mean, obviously now you can do it with a tablet. You could do it with a computer. Before you could do it with a computer, you needed thousands of dollars to do this stuff. So it's really inspiring. Now, Tommy Ricard was here. He had to take off. He had a previous engagement. He's doing the drums for you. He showed me something else before the show, which was an app on the iPhone that allows you to kind of do quick scratch pad stuff, like use it, do layers, maybe lay a melody and then harmonize with it. Do you use that to kind of construct your ideas?
I don't, but I mean, he was showing it to me, and I'm probably going to get it when I get home. So for right now, I don't, but I mean, that's another great tool. I use just voice memos a lot for just getting ideas down quick. Lyrics, anytime I have inspiration. If you go into my phone right now, you would see probably 200 song ideas sitting there that wouldn't have been captured if the technology wasn't available.
Make sure they're auto backing up to the cloud and don't lose them. That was a lesson I learned the hard way. Clay Bell, really appreciate you coming out and sharing with everyone your awesome music and talking a little bit about the technology. Where can people find your work online?
Claybell.me. Oh. Hey.
Easy enough. Right on. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Leo and I are actually going to sit down and do a little mailbag. But first, Frederick Van Johnson is kind of a fantastic photographer. He has a warning and some advice about traveling with your gear.
Hi, I'm Frederick Van Johnson. I'm the host of This Week in Photo. You can find us at thisweekinphoto.com. This tip is about photography, and one of those things that kind of plagues a lot of photographers. First of all, when you're going out on a traveling adventure or even a street photography adventure, pack light. Don't take all the lenses you have. Take a few lenses. And when you pack light, and if you're going on a flight, never check your camera gear, ever, under any circumstances. Don't try to hide it in your socks and your luggage, none of that stuff. That's my tip.
That's the great Frederick Van Johnson. We love seeing him. It's fun to watch what people are doing with iOS. And I love it. Somebody in the chat room is saying, well, how come he doesn't have a digital instrument? Well, you don't need to. You can use analog gear now. And the interfaces, like the Apogee interface he was using, make it very easy for you to use analog equipment with your digital device.
Right. I mean, what is Clay doing? He's playing a guitar. He's singing. He's not using his iPad. Yeah, it's all analog instruments. Right. So I think there's two different kind of angles there for like tablet devices and digital audio. Are you using it for performance? Right. Or are you using it for recording? And Clay's using it for recording primarily. Right. But there is a rich kind of movement right now of people that are just using their iOS devices, not so much Android, to perform and to do their entire music is generated from these tablets. And it's just amazing to me. I love it.
One thing people were also asking is, what are the Android analogs for this? And that is an interesting story, because Android does not have anywhere near the variety of musical stuff. And some of that comes from a flaw really in the Linux operating system. There's a latency built into Linux that is not great for performance. You could still do recording with it, but it'd be hard to listen back to live playback. And that latency has plagued Android going back to the very beginning, and doesn't look like it'll be solved anytime.
Yeah, I mean, there are some hardware manufacturers. I think IK Multimedia is one of them. That they are kind of making hardware that gets around some of this stuff. Oftentimes, it's only for particular devices. So this hardware only works for Galaxy devices because they've done something with Samsung to kind of figure out a way around it. But it's really not nearly as rich and robust as iOS, and that's unfortunate because I'm an Android guy and a musician. I would love to do all this stuff. It's just not nearly as possible. There are things, though.
But why fight it? Buy iOS.
Oh, absolutely.
Get the tool that works.
Use what works.
Time for the mailbag. Roll me in the mail.
There we go. Yeah.
I got in the way of the mailbag rolling. Sorry, Jerry. Jerry Wagley produces the show, and he also rolls the mailbag. Thank you very much. Nice job.
Thank you, Jerry.
Is there anything I should be? Are there any sharp objects in here? Anything I should be aware of?
Birds going to fly out when we open it?
Is there Dinty Moore stew in here? I don't know. No, it's just mail in the mailbag.
Weird.
By the way, this is not a mailbag. This is a mailbox. We need
to put a bag in the mailbox, and that'll be the mailbag.
Have some mail.
Thanks.
On me. It's free. From Stu. Hi, new screensavers. Hi, Stu.
Hey, Stu.
This is a good one for you. How do I use the Google Photo app with Chromecast? The G Plus Photo app worked brilliantly with Chromecast. In fact, I know I get my slideshow in there and everything. It's awesome. I can't seem to find a way to do the same thing with a new app.
Yeah, this is a tricky one, right? For a couple of years now, Google has been pushing Chromecast compatibility into almost everything they do that it makes sense to have Chromecast capability to. Then suddenly they came along and kind of revamped, the Photos service and gave you Google Photos, its own new, brand new breakout app. And it doesn't have Chromecast capability. So there really is no way to do this right now. It kind of boggles my mind that they didn't do that for release. Makes you think maybe they were under pressure and they had to just get it out there. But we still haven't seen it in an update a couple of months after Google I/O where they announced it. It's kind of unfortunate. You really want to be able to cast your photos and your videos that are all archiving to the cloud for free for you, probably. And you can't.
I didn't even know this. So when I use the Chromecast app to set up my various Chromecasts.
That's different.
And I can go in there and I say what the screensaver is, and I can have weather, I can have other people's pictures, Trey Ratcliffe's, and I can have my own pictures. That still works.
That still works. Okay. That's different. This is sharing specifically from an app. So like what you can do in Google Slides, for example, you can hit the Chromecast button, send it to your TV, and then when you're giving a presentation, have it control the screen, right? Yeah. That should be in the Google Photos app.
You know what?
It'll get there.
Stu,
it's just not there yet.
Yeah, they'll do it,
which is pretty unfortunate.
Especially since they're pulling photos out of Google Plus,
yeah, they
so
have.
you don't have a choice. Yeah.
Right.
What do you got there?
Well, let's see here. Janet writes in to say, I'm driving solo across the U.S. in my little Honda Civic from Los Angeles to Pittsburgh via Interstate 70 and 80.
Janet, you're going the wrong way. Okay. All right. The status.
I need to purchase a disposable phone for emergency use only. If you have any advice as to which phone is most dependable, I'd appreciate it.
Should have brought my laptop. So you found something that's pretty cheap.
I mean, I did some searching and found one that seemed to get pretty good reviews and is very inexpensive for an emergency phone. It's the LG 440G track phone. It's $4.99.
How much?
$4.99.
Oh, I'm not going to beat that
off
price.
Contract at Best Buy. GSM, CDMA. It has some basic data capabilities as well.
It would work with any carrier.
Yes,
it's got
any
CDMA.
US carrier. $5 off contract. So you kind of can't beat it as far as that's concerned. And the reviews on Amazon and elsewhere, I mean, it's 4 stars on Amazon. So I don't know. That seems like a hard price to beat.
I don't know if I'm going to beat it. This is something that Jeff Needles bought. It was a Kickstarter.
If it's good enough for Needles, it's good enough for me.
Well, now that you mentioned $5, I'm thinking, wow, I don't know if I can beat this. It was the same idea. It was something you'd keep in your glove compartment, and it would, you could take the SIM, like if your phone died, you could take the, here it is. It's called Talk Ace, the must-have accessory for a mobile lifestyle. It looks like a little pocket calculator, doesn't it? It's tiny. It's but here's the problem. It's GSM only. The idea is that your phone's died, so you take the SIM out and you put that in the Talk Ace. But I don't think it's as cheap. So, you know what?
That doesn't look $5 to me.
You beat me on that one. I thought, oh yeah, this is $70, and if you want it with a case, it's $72.
You know, Janet didn't specifically say I need to spend almost nothing on a phone. So
the cool thing about this is,
still in
you see, it fits.
Range.
Now, no, you could keep it in your glove compartment, but they have a case that will fit onto your iPhone.
Oh wow. Interesting.
This is the kind of goofy stuff you find on Kickstarter.
Now, okay, so it was a Kickstarter. Is it now actually available?
Well, they say you can buy it now. I don't know, and I think the $5 LG sounds like the perfect thing for what she was talking about.
Yeah. I don't know.
So there you go.
A couple of ideas.
Forget the Talk Ace.
And honestly, if the $5 phone doesn't work, get another one. It was $5.
It's a burner.
You didn't drink coffee one day.
I ordered, and I should get it before the next show. I ordered the Moto G, the new.
Oh yeah.
And that's cheap. That's $150, $200, depending on which model you get. And it looks like a pretty good phone.
Yeah.
I'm going to try it as my main phone. See if I mean, talk about crazy.
Anytime you're talking about budget-friendly devices, the Moto G is always near or at the top of the list.
Yeah, better and better.
180 is a far cry from sub 100, but
or $5.
Yeah, or $5.
Really, $5?
$5 Best Buy.
How could they? What the?
I don't know.
How could you?
I don't question it. I just add to cart and go.
How could you? All right. Hey, Jason, it's really been fun. Will you come back and do some more of this?
Absolutely. This is a
Jason
blast.
Howell, he's the host of All About Android.
Yeah.
He's the host of Android App Arena.
Yes. 4 apps a week.
You
at
produce
least.
all of my shows, which means you work double time because, well, I'm a hard guy to pin down. Anything else you want to plug? Yellow Gold is your album?
Yellowgoldmusic.com if you really want to go to my site and find the music that I've made that kind of ties in with my conversation with Clay. But yeah, other than that, I think we hit the points.
Good.
Yeah,
Good to see
thank you.
Thanks for being
It's a
here.
lot of fun.
Tomorrow on This Week in Tech, it's Om Malik, the return of Om Malik. I cannot wait. Jill Duffy will also be there, and Harry Technologizer. Harry McCracken will also be there. So that's going to be a fun show on Sunday. Next week, as you heard, Becky Worley co-hosts with me on the new Screensavers. If you want to be here in studio, we always have a great studio audience, and we'd love to have as many people as want to come. Just email tickets@twit.tv so we can put out a chair for you. You can also watch live. We do the show right after the Tech Guy, or shortly after the Tech Guy, about 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern Time. There's a little setup involved, so it takes us a little while to get started. That would be 2200 UTC, and on demand, always available. twit.tv/NSS, or wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure you subscribe to the new Screensavers because we want to see you here every single week. Thanks, Jason.
Thank you.
I'm Leo Laporte. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time on the new Screensavers. Bye-bye.